All right, Chris Clark here, joined today by South Carolina linebacker Brad Johnson. This, of course, is an interview that is funded by Garnet Trust. Check out GarnetTrust.com, creating name, image, likeness opportunities for University of South Carolina student athletes like Brad. Hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today for a little chat.
Man, I appreciate you having me out. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so regular season's over. Talk about some football stuff first before we dive into some other stuff and kind of take a bigger picture look at where things are at. Regular season over, obviously, and where you guys are at right now, awaiting the bowl destination, which we will find out officially on Sunday. So, since the season ended, Brad, tell us a little bit about just what you guys have been doing individually. What if the coaching staff gave you guys time off? If you're still coming in the building some, what are you doing in between now and when bowl practice starts up?
Yeah. Last week, or this past week, we really just had to come in twice, a couple workouts. The coaches try to tell us to, get away from the building as much as possible. Don't come in if you have to, unless you have to, So that's really what we've been doing so far. And then next week we'll be doing kind of the same thing, same deal. But I think it'll be three lifts that we'll be getting in that week, as a group. Just keeping our bodies right, primed, and not make sure nobody's getting too lazy, too out of shape. And then after that, the week after, the following week, we'll start practicing. I think getting ready, light practices for the bowl week, and then we'll pick it up and as the weeks go on,
Yeah.
as we get closer.
So let's look at individually. This season is an interesting one because I think there are two things that were interesting for you. I'm gonna let you talk about. Number one, really your first like full body of work, right? Like at the college level, like your first body of work because you battled through. You've had some injuries, a couple other years, um, and then your first full year at linebacker. You transitioned from being a Sam or a Buck in the past to playing Will linebacker. So tell us a little bit about just how the year went for you and how you feel from the beginning of the year when you're starting out at Will to right now and how much you progressed.
Yeah, I definitely say I progressed a lot. It was a lot of progression that was made, solely due to just me putting in the work, and then the people that I had around me, like the staff that I had around me, just to help me progress in that will in that linebacker position. Especially like Joe Bowen, an analyst that we have on the team, assistant linebacker coach. Man, he helped me a lot. Just getting the fundamentals of linebacker, because it is a big transition from playing with your hand in the dirt up front in the trenches and going back to the secondary at any level. So he really helped me progress in that field. And just looking back over the season, I definitely say I'm proud of myself, proud of the body of work that I put together for my first year, my first complete, as you said, complete body of work uh, at the college level. First complete season and first season as a linebacker. So I definitely say I'm proud of what I did, and I'm excited about the future and what I can do at this position now that I have a foundation laid out.
Yeah, so that's where I want to go next. I'm glad you brought it up. You mentioned the future. You have another year available if you want to take it. So, what is that process like as far as making that decision? And have you decided, as of right now, what your plans are as far as coming back for another year? I know you're set to graduate, right? This
Hmm.
month. Is that right? So, walk me through that process.
Yeah. So really, right now, I'm just focused on graduating, as you said. I'm planning to walk this December, so that's my main focus: getting that diploma, getting that degree. And then once that's said and done, like of course, during the process until that comes to as well, like I'm keeping my eyes and my ears open and talking to the people that I need to talk to on our staff in the facility, and the valid sources I can talk to from outside of the facility as well. But just keeping my eyes and ears open, man, keeping my options open, and just seeing what comes. And thankfully, I have that extra year, like you said. So if the opportunity comes that where I feel the best opportunity is for me to come back and return for another year, then I have the ability to do that, which I'm grateful for, so grateful for. So
Yeah. What do you think? play another year at South Carolina, where do you see things going from there? Obviously, you'd be back at the will position for the second straight year. What's kind of the next step for you as far as reasons that you may come back and give it another run and look to take your game even to another level?
Well, I think you said it, like just me thinking of where I can bring my game to. We talked about it being my first year at the wheel position and my first full body of work. Throughout a season. So I'm just excited to see what I can put together. Back to back, and with the staff that we have and the growth that I know I'm able to still make, and all the progress that's still yet to be made. I'm excited to see what the future can have for me here with another year. So that's uh, definitely what intrigued me about coming back if I do.
How was it being coached by Clayton White? I remember talking to you in the preseason, the media day actually, and you were pretty excited about playing in Coach White's defense and having him be your position coach and kind of walk you through that transition to will linebacker. So now that you've had 12 games, you played a lot of snaps this year, so you worked very closely with Clayton White. What's kind of your assessment on him as a coach, both as a coordinator and as a position coach?
Well, as a coordinator, he's great. I feel like he's aggressive, which is the type of coordinator that I would like to play for, and I feel like a lot of defensive guys would love to play for. Just that mindset, and he also like I feel like he's a great teacher at the coordinator position as well. He lets his coaches coach, but he also knows how to add his input into the player's ear without feeling like he's crossing any boundaries or confusing any guys. You feel me? And then
Yeah.
as a position coach, he's great too. Like him and Joe Bowen, as I talked about earlier, like those two guys together, like I feel like are a perfect combination, especially for our linebacker group. We got a lot of young guys coming up after me and Sherrod, so like I feel like those guys, man. Like by the time uh, they're especially our age or even before, like they're gonna be able to really know the game and really know the position. So in that standpoint, it's excited to see what those guys are going to be able to do. Um, Learning from Coach White and Coach Bowen. But yeah, he's a great coordinator, great coach, and I'm lucky to play for him. So
One of the things that we always like to do is to ask players about their teammates in this setting and some things, kind of give you guys a chance to show them some love and everything like that. So, one of the guys, man, that has made a huge jump since he's been at South Carolina that had a great year and he's being recognized as Jalen Foster. Now, I know he's not in your position group, but you guys play together. You played a lot of snaps together. Jalen's getting a lot of postseason accolades. All American teams and things of that nature. What have you seen out of Jalen in terms of his growth, and like what do you attribute that to?
man, yeah, Foster, man, I'd say like the two words to describe him is just hard work. Uh, he's a hard worker and he's consistent. Like since the day I met him, my freshman year, 2017, he had been there. I think like a semester, maybe two before me when I got there. But from then to now, like nothing's really changed with him. Like his attitude hasn't changed. How he carries himself, how he works, like nothing's changed. Like he's just been consistent in what he does, and I feel like that's just like the perfect lesson of just like when your opportunity comes. And I feel like he was finally given his opportunity that he truly deserved and that he worked for, and he shined. He was ready for it and he answered it on all cylinders. So he deserves everything that he's getting and more. So and he's gonna accumulate a lot more just because of his consistency and how he works.
Who are some of the young guys on defense that maybe because they had some guys in front of them or for whatever reason but guys that you have seen in practice and you've lifted with and you've been through it with all year that when you look to the future are going to be dudes for this defense, you think like guys that we didn't see as much but we're going to see a lot more of in the future?
No, definitely. There's a few guys, and I don't want to. I'm scared to name drop. I don't want to leave nobody out, but there's a lot of guys. Really, all those guys coming up, man. Especially that new little freshman class that we just got, that we had just had. Those guys, they're going to be something special. I feel like all of them came in with a chip on their shoulder, and they're all talented. and they all take coaching. So I feel like with the staff that we have and those guys like and their abilities, the sky's the limit for them. But if I had to just name a few, like I'll name some in the linebacker room, like Kobe Fields, Debo Williams, uh, all those guys. Like they're gonna be players. Bam, uh, D line. Let's see, T.J. Sanders gonna be a guy definitely. Just has that work ethic, has that chip on his shoulder. There's a lot of guys there, but all those guys are really gonna make a big leap. I feel, and they're gonna fill those shoes well when their time comes.
Another question we've asked guys a lot, gotten some of your teammates in the past on some Garnet Trust interviews and asked them about Shane Beamer and his mentality. Because one thing that's been pointed out, I think rightfully so, is that in some of the games this year, whether or not you guys got the results you wanted, like you look at Tennessee, Texas A&M, where you don't get the result. You look at like Auburn and Florida, where you do get the result. In all those games, there was some type of adversity in the game, and the team continued to play, right? So where did that come from? Like, was it a tangible, like, could y'all feel that kind of change to where the team continued playing and continued showing effort?
I think we definitely felt that change. Um, I feel like as you said, you're talking about it now. Like I feel like everybody who watched our season this year felt that change. Because I mean, we talked about it as a team, just like in a few of those games, like in previous years, we get in some of those situations that we were in, and we wouldn't make it out. Or I would hate to say it, but we would fold in certain ways in certain areas to where we weren't able to pull it out and get the win. But this year, I just feel like with the help of Coach Beamer and his staff, and then our leadership guys, like our seniors, some of those guys who are going to be leaving, and all those guys that I came in with, man, I feel like we just kind of kind of kind of set the tone and the standard of like we're just going to stick together, and we're definitely not going to quit. So at any time when our backs against the wall and things aren't going our way, like the last thing that we're going to do is blame somebody, point a finger, or lay down. And I feel like we just adopted that this year, and it showed in a lot of ways.
So I told you earlier before we came on, I may hit on the recruiting process. I remember, I covered your recruiting process at GamecockCentral.com, class of 2017, you coming up through Pendleton. I remember that very well. And you had an interesting recruiting process. You had a lot of schools after you, Notre Dame, right? Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Tennessee. What do you remember the most about the recruiting process as far as like the pros and the cons of it? Because you weren't a big attention guy, I know. But like, what did you like? What did you dislike?
Uh, what did I dislike? Um, I can't really think of anything that I might have disliked. You look back at it now, and it's just like God, like that was the life back then. You just traveling to different schools and hotel rooms getting paid for, and you getting pampered and fed, and everybody's telling you how great you are. But
Yeah.
no, that whole process, man, like it was great.
Yeah.
Um, I can't really think of anything that I might have disliked. Probably just the phone calls and excessive letters. I think.
Recruiting reporters like me and everything. Yeah.
Oh man, it was a ton of them. I love talking to you though, man. Like you one of the good ones, man. I like when you called, but
I
like
appreciate
yeah, there were a lot of them, and a lot of them didn't mean well, and a lot of them just were calling just to call. So,
it.
but
Yeah.
I probably think that might have been like the a downside of it, but even then, like you still like the attention somewhat, even when it got a little overwhelming at times. But yeah, that whole process was great, and it's something I think I remember forever. Like I still got a bucket full of all my letters, or most of them, at least the ones that I could keep. Um, but yeah,
What one of the big storylines I remember like down the stretch in your recruitment was the fact that Clemson didn't offer. And I mean, most of our listeners will know that Pendleton is very close to Clemson, right? So you're right down the road from the Tigers. Did that bother you at all? Like that they didn't offer? I know they showed some interest early on and it seemed like maybe they would. Did that bother you?
I wouldn't say it bothered me. because I wasn't out like hunting for offers. Like I was just I was blessed to be able to further my education and get a full ride scholarship. But I don't think I was like hunting for offers. Like like why didn't they offer me? What I say it put like a little chip on my shoulder, maybe in a way, like because everybody wants to get the offers at the same time. You may not be hunting for them, but when a school that close in proximity to your high school, you feel me, and uh, shows attention but doesn't offer you, you wonder why. Um, but you don't really dwell on it.
Yeah. And let's say South Carolina, didn't exist, or let's say they hadn't have offered. Which school? Who's maybe runner up? Was it Notre Dame? Were they pretty high up there?
I feel like Notre Dame actually wasn't.
Okay.
I kind of wanted them to be, but I feel like I talked to the defensive coordinator there when he offered me maybe twice on the phone, and then after that, I think he might have left or got fired or something happened in that like during that year with the defensive staff. So then I kind of didn't hear as much from him, but I still had the offer, and then I never really made that trip because
Mhm.
it's all the way up there. So that kind of just went off the table. But I'd probably say like the runner up was definitely Virginia Tech. And
Mhm.
it's kind of funny because like now me and my mom talk about it, and she's like, you got Coach Beamer here, and you were thinking about going to Virginia Tech and stuff. It's like just ties everywhere. It's
Yeah,
fun, small world. But
no doubt. So let's change gears a little bit. Obviously, this interview funded by Garnet Trust. For those of you who may be watching and don't know about Garnet Trust, go check it out. GarnetTrust.com. Mechanism to support South Carolina student athletes, name, image, likeness activities, and that's funding this interview today for Brad. So let's hit on the subject of name, image, likeness, because I know you have some thoughts on this, man, and you're a thoughtful guy, and you've done some research and everything on it. So what are your thoughts just in general about student athletes like yourself who are in college, who are putting in a lot of work, being able to capitalize on name, image, likeness?
uh, I feel like it's a great thing. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I was able to be a part of it. I thought that when it was being talked about, I felt like I was like, dang man, I hope I'm not gone by the time that this happens, so I can get to at least experience it just to see how it's like. Because I feel like so many athletes that have come before us probably had it a lot worse than we do now. I know they had it a lot worse than we do now. Like we have a lot of advantages as student athletes at this day and age, but I just feel like a lot of the ones that came before us like definitely had it worse. Like people couldn't eat, a lot of times, and a lot of people didn't have like money in their funds just to spend like at willingly. And it's crazy because they're also going out here and performing in front of 90 plus thousand crowds. So it's just like it doesn't add up. But I'm definitely thankful for the idea of name, image, and likeness, and the fact that it's actually going on now. Um, and I don't want to say it's deserved in any type of way, but I feel like people should be able to definitely create some type of means of funds off their name if it occurs. So and that's where I kind of stand on that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the point I've made, Brad, is that most people who are not quote unquote amateur student athletes are able to capitalize on their name, image, likeness. I mean, I'm not a student athlete. If I want to go appear on something and be paid for it, that's something everybody can do. And so athletes who, quite frankly, generate entertainment that generates lots of dollars, for universities and for television and all these different things, now obviously have the ability to do that. So GarnetTrust.com is a way if you want to find out more about name, image, likeness, and you want to find out more about how you can support. Obviously, you can go there and do that at GarnetTrust.com. All right, Brad. So here's one more question I wanted to ask you. I think one thing that we hear, going back to name, image, likeness for one more question, one thing that you hear is, well, the kids get a free education. Is that not enough? Right. And I know that is significant. Um, give people a sense of how much time you guys put in, like during the week, as far as ball, lifting, school, trying to fit in some semblance of like a social life and everything. But just it's kind of like one of the players described to us, they said, I think it was Zaquandre White said, it's a job, right? Like as far as how much time you put in, give us a sense of that.
Yeah, definitely. But like as to go back to what you just said, like with the main rebuttal being, we're getting that free education. Like I've never met a student athlete that wasn't thankful for receiving their free education. It's not like it's being taken for granted, and we all know what a blessing it is to be able to get that free education. So that's one thing that just I feel like everybody should know. Like every single student athlete that I've ever came into contact with has always been grateful for the fact that they've been able to get that free education and degree, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But at the same time, like just to be able to make money off of your name as well. But just during the week, man, like I mean, it's crazy how to really to describe it because it's a year long job. It is being a student athlete in all sports, just about. But I feel like especially football, that's the one that I can really attest to. But um, from January to you know the end of spring, really, you're working out constantly while balancing like tutoring sessions and in class, 2 to 3 classes a day, along with completing your homework and all that types of things, and being in the facility and your workout sessions or whatever you have going on for football for at least 6 to 7 hours a day. And then you got the summer, which is kind of like the break. I would feel like that's kind of like the most relaxed time that we get. But you're still coming in, you're still doing things, and then the season is just like the season is hectic, to say the least. Like it goes by so fast, and we all joke about it at the end of it because like you look back and it's like, golly, man, like I don't know, just in a blink of an eye it goes, and uh, from Monday to Friday, you're like I said, balancing tutoring sessions if you have them, and your academics, and at least 7 to 8 hours inside of the facility with practices and workouts throughout the week, and meetings. Uh, just it's a lot, and it leaves no time basically for social life. Uh, but it's something that we all take pride in, and it's not something that we complain about at all because we love doing it. We love it. It's the pride, and it's the pride in the school, it's the pride in our university. Um, and we're just thankful to be able to go out and do this and play the game that we love. So we put in all that time. Um, but yeah, it's a lot. So it's not like it's just like a part time thing. You got to be all in.
So, last thing for you before I let you run here, I know you. Another thing you told me back in media days. So I want to get an update now. Your brother is a football player in high school. Give
Yeah.
us the Brad Johnson scouting report. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My little brother, man. He'll be he's a freshman right now in high school. No, he's a sophomore right now in high school. Um, he plays linebacker and a little bit of running back, so it's kind of familiar. But he's definitely a defensive guy.
Mhm.
Um, but he resembles myself a lot, just the way he flies around on the field. And it's just something about high school ball, man. It's just so much different. And I just look back and I'm just like, and it kind of I see little flashes. I see little flashes of me, but he's definitely he's a whole different player within himself. So I'm excited to see what he'll grow into. He's just so young. So
Right. Good deal. All right, Brad. Well, hey, again, this has been Carolina linebacker Brad Johnson on this Garnet Trust sponsored interview. Really appreciate your time today, man, and wishing you all the best going forward. Looking forward to possibly continuing to cover you into the future. So thanks a lot for taking time.
appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for having me, man.